Hey guys, Mark here with another fragrance review, this time on the designer house of Calvin Klein. This fragrance right in front of me is their classic fragrance. This is what made Calvin Klein a household name in the fragrance game. Their top selling, their money maker. This one called simply CK1. Now you guys, if you're an 80s baby like I am, you guys kind of grew up on this stuff. I can name off at least a dozen people that wore this religiously in the 90s. And that could be women, men. This is a unisex fragrance. There's a lot of people wearing this. To all you youngsters out there that maybe never went through the 90s like I did, basically this was our Paco Rabanne 1 million. Especially in North America. I know this is a worldwide top seller, especially back in the 90s. In the United States and Canada, CK was huge. I remember, that was one of the brands, that and Hilfiger. You'd want to get Tommy Hilfiger jeans or Calvin Klein jeans, t-shirts, all their clothing, the underwear, and the scent. I was a CKB boy, so I wore CKB, the big black bottle right behind me here. My fragrance journey with CK1, to be completely honest, was women in my life. I had classmates wearing it, the hot chicks were wearing this stuff. Even my aunt was wearing this stuff. Like everybody. This was a top seller, guys. So this is where Calvin Klein starts and stops. They really didn't do anything else after this. Just kidding. But how to bottle a generation. This is probably a good way to bottle a generation. This one right here, for me personally, the 90s and CK1 walk hand in hand. It reminded me of alternative music, grunge, early 90s, Hilfiger, CK was hot. This was the early 90s. Now CK1, just to let you guys know how much of a top seller and how much this brand, actually this fragrance made Calvin Klein. At its initial launch, CK1, in the first 10 days of sales, CK1 rounded around 5 million units sold for CK. That's a lot of fragrance bottles. This fragrance sold so much in the early 90s. At the pinnacle of its glory, CK was quoted as saying they were selling 20 bottles per minute of this stuff. Think of that for a second. This is a lot of juice. It had annual sales of about 90 million in the mid-90s on this fragrance alone. So Calvin Klein, this was definitely a moneymaker. Now, of course, it dipped quite a bit since those days. This is not as hot as it used to be, of course, and that kind of brings me back to how fragrances can be fashionable. These type of top sellers are going to have people that are going to stick with them until the fragrance is either discontinued or the person's done. People do that all the time, so it's still going to have alright sales. It actually had the crown as the top selling fragrance sold worldwide back in 94, 95. So this was worldwide top seller, no doubt about it. This thing is a classic. When people kind of talk about fragrances being fashionable, including myself, this is what I'm talking about. CK really kind of reminds me of the early 90s, and that's it. When I smell this, brings me back. To a lot of people that weren't, if you were born in the 90s and you didn't really go through this craze, it will not, of course, make you think of that. But this scent, within time, kind of lost its edge, to be honest with me. I really felt like this fragrance, I wouldn't call it dated, but I really think it's a fashion sense. Like these type of fragrances, citrus, florals, they're still doing well, especially the top sellers like CK1, Isimiaki Puram, but you're not seeing a lot of these being released these days as top sellers. Really, I could think of the closest thing would be Dior in the men's section. That is that new age, new look of these type of fragrances, but this kind of genre is kind of dying slowly. This is actually, in my recollection, I think this is the first mass market unisex fragrance that was absolutely successful as far as sales go and just everything to it. It really did well, and I really think it's the first unisex fragrance made for men and women that did really, really well in the sales department. So guys, let's get into the review. Let's take a look at CK1. Alright guys, let's take a look at presentation, the bottle and the box for CK1. And as you can see, the box itself, just a stereotypical box, nothing fancy here. You got CK at the top. You got some information in the back. At the bottom here, your batch code's right there. Set this down. Your bottle does come with, of course, this top, a travel top, basically, since this one doesn't really have a cap, so in your luggage it's not going to spray, so you put that on, and this actually screws off. So the bottle itself, smoked glass, as you can see, kind of frosted glass, I guess. This is embossed CK, CK1, Calvin Klein. Sticker at the bottom with your batch code right there. And nothing in the back here. Sprayers are actually pretty decent with these CKs, Misty, good to go. Let's get to the review of CK1. Now let's take a look at bottle sizes for CK1 with top sellers like this. I love top sellers because the brand is going to cater to the public. There's going to be multiple bottle sizes for everybody out there. CK1 has multiple flankers. I'm not going to name them all off. There's several just behind me. The newest one is CK1 Shock, I believe. The summer editions usually get released every summer. They're really cheap. They're like 25 to 30 bucks online. 2008 is my favorite for the summers, just FYI. But as far as bottle sizes go, they also have minis. Like CK has like their whole lineup, like Obsession and Eternity, and this one, like little splash bottles. You can get that. But there's also a 1.7 ounce, 3.4 ounce, which is this one right here, and then the mega big bottle of 6.8 ounce of juice. Now with this fragrance, be careful not to pay retail. This is a top seller, so there's units all over the place. You'll find this at your discounter everywhere. Pricing varies from $20 to almost $70 American to purchase this fragrance. Again, be careful, shop around, and you can, like a big bottle like this, I think retail is like $60, $65. You could probably find this for half that price somewhere online at a discounter or at a Marshall's or TJ Maxx, something like that. So definitely shop around. CK1 hit the shelves in the early 90s, 1994. Awards, has it been in any of my top 10 or top 20 lists? You'd think a classic fragrance like CK1 would actually hit one of my lists, and you'll see why it did not. So no, it did not make any of my top 20 lists as of yet. Now group, this is a citrus, aromatic, fresh floral. Your major factors especially are your citrus up top, your florals at the end is going to be your backbone, a little bit of musky backbone to it. Basically citrus, floral, fresh fragrance. Perfumier, two-headed monster, we got Harry Fremont, and we got Alberto Moreales. And we all know Alberto, if you want to get a fresh fragrance that will sell, he is your man. He made 212 Men, Acquadiccio. He made like a whole bunch of Issey Miyake fresh fragrances, Mugler Cologne, just to name a few. So he knows what he's doing. Recommended age for CK1, I don't know if I mentioned it enough in this fragrance review. This is a unisex fragrance, men, women. This is an excellent fragrance for teens out there just because of pricing. It was a top seller, so it's very pleasing. It's one of those fragrances that could be your signature scent and could actually start you off in your fragrance journey. So definitely check it out for those teens out there. Now, how many sprays can I wear? I go one on the chest. The first one's on the chest, of course, and then I got two on the neck right behind my ears here, and then two on the arm. So I got 5 sprays with CK1. Now let's take a look at the notes. Now the notes at the top, very fresh. We got that bergamot, we got cardamom, pineapple, and papaya. Now in the mid, we got some florals. We got violet, rose, some spice with the nutmeg, and then another floral, jasmine. And in the base, we got musk, amber, oak moss, and sandalwood. So guys, let's sniff out CK1. Now let's sniff out CK1. I'm going to let you guys know what this fragrance smells like from top to bottom. Time to dissect this classic fragrance from Calvin Klein. Why does it sell so well? Let's smell it. She's fresh, she's clean. Now when you first smell CK1, the first thing that hits my nose is the freshness in this fragrance. It just hits you, and it reminds you why this is a top seller across the world. It's got a few layers of freshness here, including of course that tart lemon citrus note. It really punches in this fragrance. There's some soapy florals, kind of giving it a backbone, a bit of fruits, and some clean green tea like note in this fragrance. Now, the main player in CK1 in the top is definitely the citrus. The lemon is your major player. It's front and center. It's a little tart. It's decent. It didn't really smell like cleaner to me, so it's not that bad. but it's not really an authentic juicy lemon. I really think this was like a middle of the road kind of lemon. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it's good. Now, the lemon, it's joined by a clean floral backbone. Kind of gives you the sensation of a fresh, clean, out of the shower feel. And it did pretty well actually. It did a really good job in doing that. A lot of people are going to be attracted to that out of the shower feel from CK1. Some reviewers actually got a lot of fruit out of CK1. I definitely do detect some fruit, but I would not really classify this as a fruity scent. The florals and the citrus are really the major factors in CK1. The fruits are more of a secondary note. They come in to kind of give you a little bit of depth here. The pineapple, the papaya, people are thinking, hey, it's going to be a party, tropical. No. The pineapple and papaya joined with the citrus kind of make it a tart, fruity type feel, not a sweet, tropical kind. So definitely take that out of your mind with the papaya and pineapple-like feeling. No. Now, to the backbone of this scent, what holds it all together basically is the florals. Think the same kind of fresh floral that you get from Issey-miyake pour homme. That type of floral, yeah, not exactly, but they're in the same family. I detected with those florals a bit of greenness, almost like a green tea-like note. Think Eau Parfumée au Thé Vert by Bulgari. That's a woman's fragrance. It's a green tea-based fragrance. Much more into the green tea than this stuff, but definitely kind of around that same genre. Also very, very uplifting and fresh. The jasmine and the pinch of fruit in CK1 also kind of gave this scent a tad of sweetness. A lot of people are going to talk about sweetness in the beginning of CK1. Yeah, you're getting it from the jasmine, a little bit from the fruits. Overall, it's a fresh, clean, inoffensive scent. It's got a solid lemon note surrounded by some fruity sweet notes sitting on a bed of florals, basically. That's what your top's going to give you. Now let's get into the mid of CK1. Once this thing dries down just a bit, the citruses, namely the lemon, dies off a bit here. It starts kind of giving way to those florals. The florals are going to come amp up, and this is where we're going to lose a lot of the men out here. The women are going to love this. It's a sweet floral with almost a soapy quality runs through CK1 in its heart. Some of the spices come up here, so I did forget to mention the spices in the top. You get a little bit of them in the top, but mostly in the mid, kind of giving it some roughness here. Gives it a little bit of kick, but truly are muffled by the huge floral hit in this fragrance, and very much are subtle. I still feel like a green tea-like note in the background of CK1, which kind of stays the duration of the scent. The jasmine amber combo kind of gives the scent a little pinch of sweetness now here that you're going to feel throughout the fragrance. In the top you felt some sweetness, in the mid you're going to feel some sweetness also. The musk kind of comes up midway through this mid, kind of taking over, and will continue to backbone the rest of the scent for the duration of it. After the citrus is kind of gone in the top, this is where you're going to lose many men in the fragrance. Once you lose that citrus, the fruit, it kind of amps up the florals. This is where the men are going to be like, this girl's fragrance. So it may be too feminine for you. Now in the base of CK1, the ending of CK1 is mostly just a synthetic, musky, a little bit of soft woods. The spices are kind of tame here, very subtle, and they really just showed up at the end of the fragrance, guys. So this is CK1 in a nutshell. Let's get to the overview. Time for my overview on CK1. I'm going to start this one off by saying this is your typical blueprint of a citrus, floral, musky fragrance. It's light, it's fresh, it's non-offensive. It's one of those Swiss Army knives out there. It's very safe scent. It's not going to offend anybody. It's versatile as hell. So to you teenagers out there, again, this used to be a top seller across the world. It does very, very well, and it's a great, I think, a great starter fragrance. This is not to tell older gentlemen or women out there that this is not a great scent for you. Definitely try it out, but I really think for a starter fragrance, this is a really good one. Now, CK1 Issey-miyake pour homme kind of perfected this genre, the citrus floral genre. It was hot in the 90s. But in my opinion, this genre did not age very well. They're still selling well because, of course, a lot of consumers, when they first buy a fragrance like CK1, they're just going to stick with it for their whole life. A lot of people do that. Signature scent all the time. For me, I really think that this fragrance, this genre, did not age well, and you don't see too many citrus florals popping up here and there. So, again, Back in the 90s, I wore CKB. Sadly, CK1 gives me the fragrance memory of women in my life. Like I said in the intro, many women in my family wore this in the 90s, many classmates. So sadly for me, this one does not work. I have that memory of this being a female scent more than the men's scent. Not only that, but now when I smell this and the Issey Miyake L'Eau d'Issy pour Homme, it kind of smells like a moist, warm towelette that flight attendants give you on long airplane flights to, you know, moisten your face and your hands. Since I travel so much, this memory also isn't leaving me, so that's not a good sign. Funny enough, I'd actually recommend a scent like this for travel use. I really think this is non-offensive, and if you got a lot of people around you, this is one of those type of scents in close quarters, full of people. This one is great. You're not going to have anybody going who's wearing too much fragrance. I think this one would be actually perfect for that. Now, why would you hate this fragrance? Boring citrus floral fragrance. I've heard that before. Too unisex, going too much in the women's section. Synthetic, I've heard that before. Smells cheap like an air freshener, I've heard that before. Even for Issey Miyake also. It was really popular 15, 20 years ago, so perhaps, you know, an aunt, a mom, or someone you knew wore it, or many people wore it, and it kind of gives you that fragrance memory, like me. And the major factor why people do not like CK1, it does not last. Calvin Klein fragrances are synonymous for not lasting on your skin, and CK1 kind of has that fate also. Now, bottles for CK1. What fragrances are in the same kind of family as CK1? I've named it enough. Issey Miyake L'Eau d'Issy pour Homme is definitely right around this type of fragrance house family. I really think that I would prefer Issey Miyake pour Homme over this, to be honest. Azaro's Chrome is in the same family. Royal Water from Creed, Burberry Weekend. I really think a lot of fragrance houses do have one of these in their catalog. Best time to wear CK1. To me, this one is now just a casual, daily use type of fragrance. You can wear it to work, you can wear it to school, to freshen up. You can wear it at the gym if you'd like. This is one of those casual type fragrances. Compliment factor. CK1 kind of disappointed me. I really felt like, hey, this is a top seller, it should do well, it should get tons of compliments. No, it was really middle of the road with CK1. I was surprised. There was not that much love for CK1 in 2013. Who would have thunk it? Most people that did smell this and kind of got excited about it was either A, they smelt this before somewhere, they didn't know where, or actually some women out there actually knew exactly what I was wearing. I'm like, CK1. So people did remember it, but it wasn't out there like, ooh, what are you wearing? You know, can I get, what is that? I want to write it down, I want to buy a bottle. No, there wasn't any of those. So middle of the road, to be honest, for compliment factor. Not that great. Now, my 2 cents on CK1, this is where I go completely honest with you guys on how I feel about the fragrance, guys. In my personal opinion, I think CK1's time has come and gone. Again, it's still a top seller across the world to this day, but I really feel, I'm not calling it dated, but I really think that its time has gone. It's a decent, casual scent that I could really find that it could be appealing to some of you out there. Definitely some that have been wearing this since its initial launch in '94. I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there that have been wearing it since then and still wearing it now. Even if you weren't around in its heyday in the early 90s, you know, you're a teenager, this might not give you the scent memory that I have of this fragrance. So definitely sniff it out. I know some people will kill me saying that about this classic fragrance, but I just feel like this genre has been replaced by, let's say, the Dior Homes of the world. Very much less synthetic, really a much better floral for men in my opinion. I still believe this could really work on a woman today though. I really feel like this could be, you know, a signature scent for a woman out there. Definitely in 2013 it would work. Personally, this is just a victim of a scent memory for me, and I'm sure a lot of you have had these type of scents that give you just a bad scent memory. I still think this could be a great scent for a teen out there, since pricing is cheap and the scent's actually pretty good for what you get overall. But do test it before you buy it. Buy, try, or pass for CK1. Well, for me, this is going to be a pass. I'm definitely not going to be buying another bottle of CK1. But as far as category for you guys, I would say this is going to be more of a try to a pass. If this seems appealing to you, give it a try. If not, pass, man. I think Issey Miyake does this better, in my opinion. So guys, let's get to the rating system and see how CK1 does against the rest.
Let's rate CK1 from Calvin Klein. First off, projection, very low. I have 3 bottles out of 10. First hour is going to project, and then it's a skin scent. Longevity, 4 bottles out of 10 again, fairly low. On a good day, 3 to 5 hours on my skin. On a bad day, it's a few hours and it's gone. Versatility, this is where it gets a little better here. 8 bottles out of 10. Actually, pretty versatile fragrance. Work scent, at school, daily wear scent. Overall smell, I'm going to give this one a 7 bottles out of 10. Actually, fairly good sniff. Compliments, they're okay. Seasons, mostly summer and spring. It is a classic scent in our game. CK built its name on CK1. And longevity and projection are less than desired. So an overall score of 6 bottles out of 10.